Happy Friday! I am so excited to have you here with me for another edition of 5 Things Friday. This week, I'm going to chat about 5 challenges in writing a long-running series. So stay tuned and we will get to it. I hope you're enjoying this beautiful fall weather wherever you are. I suppose maybe the weather isn't great where you are, but it's beautiful here. So that's what I'm soaking up for this Friday. One thing that I get asked a lot by readers is publishing schedule and dates. And as of late, I have had a lot of questions about my publishing schedule because I had not 1, but 2 books released. So I thought I would chat a little bit about 5 challenges of writing a long-running series. There are so many perks, but there are a few challenges, and I'm also curious to hear what other writers think about this too. So let's get right to it. Number 1, the publishing schedule. Typically, my Bakeshop Mysteries release in January and June, and then my Sloan Krause Mysteries release in October. We've had that schedule for quite a while now, and I know that many of you are hooked on those publishing dates. But because we released a special A Cup of Holiday Fear, the publishing schedule got moved back to the end of September. It's a much better time of the year to release a holiday book, but then it was shortly followed by Beyond a Reasonable Stout, dun dun dun. With publishing schedules and writing a long-running series, it doesn't necessarily throw everything off. It just stretches out the time that you have to wait for a book, which I know made some of you unhappy. And I have a little bit of bad news. Because A Cup of Holiday Fear came out in September, the next Bakeshop book, book 11, won't come out until next June. Don't murder me. I think this might be a future plot. Readers attack the writer because of the publishing schedule. No. Don't panic. I know it's a little bit longer to wait, but then we'll be back on our normal schedule and you'll get your Bakeshop fix every June and January. Number 2, the book I'm currently working on. One of the biggest challenges with writing a long-running series is I'm always a few books ahead. So with the Bakeshop, A Cup of Holiday Fear is just out, but I am currently working on book 12. This is my outline sketch for book 12. So when I'm talking to readers or maybe responding to comments with you online, I'm thinking, what did happen in this book? I'm a couple books ahead, so I'm already way ahead of what's happening with Jules. No spoilers, I'm not going to tell you, but that is a challenge because I have to think back like, oh yeah, what is happening in that book and what time period is it set in? The same thing is true for cover reveals. We just released the cover of Nothing But Trouble. It's so beautiful. It's a flashback to the 80s. I've hinted at this a little bit, but even though A Cup of Holiday Fear just came out, we're already rolling ahead to the next book in the series. I don't know if that makes you crazy or happy. Tell me, I'm not sure. Number 3, one of the biggest challenges for me as a writer in writing a series that is going 12 books deep at this point in time is trying to figure out how much backstory to weave in. I talked about this a little bit when we were discussing whether or not you should read a series in order or not. I think you should. You can loop back and see that episode if you agree or disagree with me on that one. But it's always a challenge to make sure that I'm giving new readers enough backstory so they don't feel lost and they're floundering. But I also don't want to bore you if you've come along for all 10 books so far and you're like, yeah, I know about Carlos. Okay, I'm Team Thomas, whatever it is. I'm really cognizant of making sure that I have enough backstory in the series, but not too much to bore you. And that continues to be a challenge as the series grows because there are so many more developments that have happened with the secondary cast of characters. I don't want to leave anyone out. Number 4, sweating the small stuff. I end up sweating the small details so much more now that we're further into the series. I have to stop and think like, what did I say about Andy? Did Sterling get a haircut? Did Stephanie have a birthday? These are the kind of questions that are pounding, running through my head, just tapping at my brain as I'm starting to work on book 12 because the small details matter. I know that you remember them and you'll tell me. I don't want to forget even the tiny stuff and say that, Lance had his goatee when really he shaved it off in book whatever. Remind me, what book was that? It's hard not to sweat the small stuff when you're writing a long-running series. Number 5, last but not least, one of the challenges for me in writing a long-running series like the Bakeshop Mysteries is the recipes. The recipes are always the last thing I do. So with Nothing But Trouble, it's already been sent to my editor and she's working on edits. It'll come back through the copy edit process and I am just now starting to finalize all of the recipes. And one of my biggest fears, I suppose, more so than a challenge, is making sure that I'm constantly finding fresh and innovative new recipes to share with you. I still have a backlog of recipes from my family that I'm excited to share in future books, but because Tort is such an artisan bake shop, I want to make sure that that tone and vibe of Jules and everyone who's in the bake shop cooking comes through in the pages. And so one of the challenges is making sure like, oh, did I already reference hazelnut brownies? She's made lime mint cupcakes before. I have an ever-growing list of recipes, not only that have made the final cut in each book, but also recipes that just get talked about at Tort. And there's a lot of food talk in these books. Am I right? Are you with me on that? I never want to run out of recipes, but I don't want to repeat anything either. So making sure that that stays up to date is definitely a challenge, although it is a delicious challenge, so I guess it's not so bad. All right, those are 5 of my challenges in writing a long-running series. What about you from a reading perspective? Are there things about reading a long-running series that drive you crazy? Do you sweat the small details? Do you worry about what's happening backstory-wise? I would love to hear your input and feedback, as well as comments from other writers. If you've written a long-running series or right in the middle of it, what are your challenges? Did I forget things? I'm sure I did. As always, thanks for joining me for another episode of 5 Things Friday. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and click the bell to get notified whenever I share new videos. Happy weekend!